What's up, y'all? Welcome back to Sexton Sobriety. Today, I'm going to talk about harm reduction, so let's get right into it. The first thing I want to touch on is Narcan, or naloxone. Narcan is a life-saving medication for people that are overdosing on opiates. You can get Narcan for free online, and a lot of local pharmacies will give it out as well. So reach out to your local pharmacy or just hop on Google and search free Narcan, and you can find a lot of resources. So basically, Narcan brings people into precipitated withdrawal. So it blocks their opioid receptors so that they will not continue to overdose. Sometimes people need multiple doses of Narcan, but it should never exceed 10 milligrams. Even 10 milligrams is way too high of a dose. But basically, there's things like carfentanil that are, way stronger than fentanyl. And sometimes you need multiple doses to bring someone out of an overdose. If you do administer Narcan, you should also call 911. Also, if you're someone who's in drug culture, always call 911 if someone's overdosing. There are good Samaritan laws in a lot of states. If there isn't, honestly, you getting into a little bit of trouble is way better than you having someone's death on your conscience. So I would strongly encourage that. Always call 911. It's not worth someone's life. So people deserve to get help if they're potentially dying. So yeah, Narcan is very accessible. Like I said before, just hop on Google, call your local pharmacy and ask. And even for people who are not actively using, like me, someone who's been, clean and sober for years, I just ordered some Narcan so I can have it on hand in case I ever see someone overdosing. So I think it's very important if you support, people in recovery, if you support people getting out of addiction, I strongly encourage you to carry Narcan, even normal people. The next thing I want to talk about is reagent testing. Okay, so you can buy these online, and usually it's used to figure out if a substance is what it's supposed to be. So I would encourage that. You can find it, like I said, online. Just Google REAGENT test kits and then insert whatever substance you're trying to test. But I don't think it should stop there. I think you should also get fentanyl test strips so that you can be sure there's not fentanyl inside of what you're using. Basically, at this point, in drug culture, it's the worst time to be a drug addict. It's one of the most dangerous times in the history of the world with fentanyl and carfentanil and these other analogs. Basically, carfentanil is, I think, 100 times stronger than fentanyl. And it's just, it's very resistant to Narcan, like I said earlier, so you need multiple doses. And they're putting it in things that it wouldn't normally be in. So people are overdosing on cocaine that has fentanyl in it. So they'll put it in a stimulant, which seems really, really weird. It's most prominent in pressed pills or fake pills or pressies, as people say. And it's not just in ones that are imitating opiates. It's also in some that are imitating benzodiazepines like Xanax. I've also heard of fentanyl or carfentanil as well being inside of supposed THC carts. So it's just, like I said, it's one of the sketchiest times to be a drug addict. It's never a good time to be an addict, but right now it's just very, very dangerous. So if you're using anything, you have to test it. You have to test it. It's not worth losing your life over. So I strongly encourage you and your friend groups, if you actively use drugs, to have Narcan, to get reagent test kits, and to get fentanyl test strips, because it's just very important. A lot of people are using for the first time and dying, whereas that wasn't really happening as much. That's now very normal. And a lot of friend groups are all taking stuff at the same time, and they're all dying. So it's very important to be careful with what you take, man. I understand addiction isn't going to just end in a snap, okay? And I'm someone who lives, in chemical abstinence. So that's my thing. But I'm not going to neglect to address harm reduction. I think it's very important. I just think that the way that we talk about it needs to be more accountable. I feel that a lot of people in the harm reduction community are almost enabling in a weird way, and they're not addressing the addiction side to substance use and abuse. So that's why I think it's important to be all-encompassing and to address the full spectrum of substance use. There's people out there who are not addicts and that can use substances. And I think those people also really need to test their stuff. It's not just for addicts, but addicts are going to be more likely to overdose because of the frequency of use and how much they're using. So I just really wanted to get on here and encourage that. There's tons of resources out there. Like I said, I just ordered Narcan recently as a person who's been clean and sober for a long time. And so I think it's very important for everyone to have this. Like I said, even normal people need to have Narcan on hand. So yeah, I mean, really, that's all I wanted to say today. I wanted to encourage, like I said, I'll touch on all the subjects. Narcan, which is naloxone, kind of reiterate this. Narcan, a life-saving medication for opiate overdose, not for other overdoses, just for opiate overdose. And then reagent test strips to see if a substance is what it's supposed to be, and then fentanyl test strips, so you can test to see if there's fentanyl in something. The sad truth is a lot of people want fentanyl. I know that if I was still in active addiction, I would have been seeking it out. I used fentanyl, pharmaceutical grade fentanyl, frequently in active addiction. And so I know that if I was still out there, I would have been seeking out this stuff. So I wanted to also touch on that and just, say that from the outside looking in, people assume that this is only accidental, that people are just accidentally, overdosing on fentanyl or accidentally taking fentanyl. And unfortunately, that's not the case. When you're in active addiction, you'll do whatever you can to change the way that you feel. And if you can get something that's extremely strong and dangerous for cheap, most addicts are going to choose that. So just keep in mind, we really need to talk about recovery in this day and age. It's so important. It's part of why I, promote recovery so openly, is because it's life or death. It's life or death. So for anyone out there that's struggling, like I always say, feel free to reach out to me. You can DM me on Instagram. I respond quicker on Instagram. So you could also DM me on TikTok, but it might take me a second to respond. So yeah, DM me on Instagram. You can also email me at sextonsobriety@gmail.com. And I will always respond to DMs and emails. And yeah, I just really want the best for anyone out there that's suffering, man, because I've been there for years and it was miserable. It sucked. I don't want that for anyone. So just know that if you're in active addiction and you feel doomed to a life of substance abuse and you feel like you're too far gone, like you've struggled so much and it's always going to be like that, just know that it doesn't have to be. It will take some action, some accountability, and some honesty, but it's worth it in the end. I wouldn't be here promoting recovery if it sucked, like point blank. I wouldn't still be clean and sober if it sucked, straight up. So I just want people to know, I'm not just talking about this from the perspective of someone who, doesn't understand, or from the perspective of someone who did not suffer immensely. So just know it's very, very possible to go from not even wanting to be here on earth to being very content and happy in life and having the opportunity to address your past and to move forward with positive actions, with support and love. That's something I also want to, touch on, is just say that when you get into recovery, there's millions of people out there that are already in recovery that will love and support you. So you're never alone. If you make the decision to reach out, to ask for help, and to share openly and honestly, you will be met with open arms. So be easy on yourselves. I always say be easy on yourselves. And what I mean by that is don't hate on yourself. Don't indulge in this shame and regret. Take accountability. If you feel shameful about your decisions, take accountability for them, address them, and move forward, because that's the only way to get through it, is to move forward and go through it. So much love to everyone. I hope everyone's having a good day. I really appreciate anyone who watches these videos. Please like and subscribe, and don't hesitate to reach out to me. I always respond. Much love.